Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the number one show that you need to listen to for all your pro wrestling news from the weeks ahead and the weeks behind. It is the A Show. What's going on, everybody? I'm Justin, and I got my co-host Jamil here. What's going on?
Meelz is here. Listen, great week.
Whoa. Are you sure you want to start the show off with, was it a great week in your life? Because not for wrestling.
Great week. Listen, it's a great week to be a human being. I don't know. That's all I can say. Wrestling, it's yay, nay. I don't know. Give, take. I don't know. It's. We've had some good stuff. We've had some bad stuff. And then we've had all the stuff in between. But you know what? Fair enough.
We're going to get to some of the bad stuff to a point that I think that WWE probably listened to the show last week and was like, you know what? Let's just tip Justin over the edge on Tuesday. Let's just fucking toss him over. Fuck him.
All right. Well, all right. I don't think it's that far, but then again, we're very different people. We're very different people in that there's like a threshold of tolerance that you have, and then there's a threshold of tolerance
I don't know how you could watch this SmackDown episode this week, and we're going to get to the SmackDown episode. I don't know how you could not rate the SmackDown episode as one of the worst that they've done in a year. And I'm talking like gender episodes when I wasn't even really watching it. It was awful.
I was thinking during the show, I was like, it's like, are they on tour or something? Like, is half the roster on tour? Because no one is competing on this show. And I'm just like, no, they were kind of all there. Sami Zayn was there. AJ Styles was there. Kevin Owens, I don't know if he was there or not, but it's I was like, what is going on? Did they just have nothing planned? I think they shift the entire writing roster. It was like, all right, we're all working on Raw 25 for next week and just scribble some shit together.
Well, not even that. It seems that they've been working on Raw, period. I mean, did Raw? I don't think Raw took all the writers. Like, this has been happening for weeks. This has been happening.
Listen, Raw 25, they probably like, all right, we need a show for, the Manhattan Center, and we need a show for Barclays.
SmackDown has been actively. We'll get to it, but I'll say right now, like, that SmackDown episode, it broke me last night. I'll say that much. But let's get to. But I mean, before we get into the show, like, is there anything that you want to talk about, like, with life? Like, how's life?
Life is okay. I don't really have much to talk about.
Wow.
Not that I say this is bad, but it's all right. We're moving. I'm happy, to be here. What else is going on in life? Yeah, I'm cool. I'm straight. I got nothing. If there's any hot, spicy things, I'll let you know next week.
Yeah, update the listeners. Update the A Show listeners on the banter. But before, actually not before, but let's get into it right now. But before I do that, actually, I want to remind everybody to go check out our RNC Radio playlist on Apple Music and Spotify. They're banging.
They're banging. If you love new stuff, I feel like we're on the, we're cultivating a very new, fresh sound. I want to use all the terms. Cultivating.
Yeah, I like that.
Culture. We're curating all the hot buzzwords that you get when you're an influencer in the game. So we've created a great playlist. A lot of great minds went into this thing. If you love hip hop, and there's some R&B, and there's some even alternative things. There's a little bit of everything for you. So I would like if everyone to pretty much subscribe to RNC Radio on Spotify.
Yes,
you can't do that yet on Apple Music, but maybe we will soon. Who knows?
I hope so. And as always, we have some awesome stuff coming up for you guys from the RNC Collective. A bunch of new shows that are coming. Of course, I also have my show with Josh Pease, RNC Radio, that is coming this week. God willing, Josh ran into some vehicular problems this week, so we might have to push it, but it is coming. So just be ready for that. But let's get into the wrestling news for the week. We have some news from the week, and we have some breaking news also. But the first thing I want to talk about is Paige. Last week it was reported that Paige was was basically told allegedly that she could no longer wrestle again, and that her in-ring career for the WWE at least is over. However, the WWE has actually not confirmed this. They haven't said anything. They have taken her out of the Royal Rumble as of Monday, and but she was still on the show, of course. But they haven't said anything, and this is, of course, stemming from a house show last month where Sasha Banks gave her a kick to the back of her neck at the house show, and she basically got a stinger, and she lost feeling in her legs, and it was a really scary incident to happen at the house show. But it's just a really sad and terrible thing, just for someone who's just come back and looked to be poised to have a really great comeback and get pushed. She was getting pushed like crazy. She hadn't even lost yet on the main roster. Like, this is something that's just, it's gutting me to even think about that she could possibly not wrestle again.
It's I heard this story. A lot of people are saying it's over. I'm waiting for WWE synopsis because I feel like they're trying to undergo a few more tests to really see the legitimacy of it all. It may be something that's just temporary. They want to keep her out of the ring as a precaution until, they get some more tests back or something along those lines, which is why I believe we haven't heard anything yet. But it was, as you said, definitely a scary moment. I mean, I've watched the video on YouTube a couple times, and it's not that I'm getting pleasure out of it. It's more so that I've been showing it to people and also watching it multiple times. It's scary, the hard kick to the back, and then sort of she goes down. She can't feel. You could see, even far away, you could kind of just see the fear in terms of the way she was moving and stuff. She was trying to get her arms, feeling in her arms back, the urgency to get back up. She tries to get back up. She crumbles to the ground because she, lost feeling in her legs, and the referee immediately throws out the match. It's a scary situation just to think about being potentially paralyzed at any moment in life.
Be clear, to be clear on just her status period before she even came back. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to Lillian Garcia's podcast with Paige. It was a very lengthy, emotional, and pretty good podcast where she basically says that doctors told her, even before she was cleared, that she should not get back in the ring. And she did it anyway. And, that type of passion for the business just really comes from her being in it for so long, over a decade, since she was a small child, like a teenager, that she's been in the business. And it just really sucks for Paige, who's had a rough year, and it looked like everything was going up for her.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they sort of follow up on this, or at least what's WWE's protocol for doing this, because it's a delicate situation. You really don't want to put her back in the ring if you risk her potential paralysis forever. Yeah, and it's something. It's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way, because she is young. She's been wrestling for close to a decade now, but she is pretty young. So she still has pretty much her life in front of her. Like, it's the possibility. It's not like she's 40 and Daniel Bryan-esque, and it's just like wrestling is all he knew for 20 years. He didn't go back to school. He didn't do anything else. He kind of just wrestling with his life, and then it was sort of taken away from him. I think this is a situation where even if it is over, I think optimistically I would look and just say, hey, you know what? I've got the rest of my life to live. Maybe, Paige can go to school, or maybe she can become something else. Who knows? To me, it's just, it's not a death sentence, but it is overall pretty scary.
It's looking bad.
Wrestling wise,
it's looking bad for her.
Yeah, it's looking bad. I don't know. I think a lot of people have received stingers in the ring. I mean, there's been times, DDP has talked about it, which helped him, get into the yoga aspect. Edge multiple times. You read his book, Kurt Angle. A lot of people with these neck problems go through these stingers, and they, it shortens your career, or at least it brings it to sort of part-time basis where you're not going, as much as you are. And even Nikki Bella recently, I believe Nikki Bella.
Yeah, last year.
Going through a similar thing right before WrestleMania last year. And, she hasn't been back in the ring.
Yeah, it's a really sad situation. Even if it is over for Paige, a really storied and awesome career within the WWE alone. Not even counting her indie stuff. I mean, she was she came into the main roster and won the Divas Champion, the first woman to hold the NXT and the Divas Championship at the same time.
Right.
She was just an awesome performer.
NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah, first ever NXT Women's Champion. Well, how could I forget that? It just goes on, and she, had a rough patch a year and a half ago, but it looked like it was going up. Like, do you see, like, if she isn't able to come back, do you think she could become a on-screen commentator or a trainer or something like that?
I don't know if I could see that immediately, but I could definitely see her still having an on-screen role. Similar to what she's doing with, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I think she can still do that. I think she can possibly transition into one of those types. But the physicality is just, once you can't get physical, it's you're kind of at a dead end with things. I mean, you've had Daniel Bryan, be general manager of Raw, and everyone's still wondering, will he get back? It's a crazy situation.
Okay, in the next part of No Holds Barred this week is the new NXT signings. Everyone was buzzing about this. They've been buzzing about it for weeks. It's been rumored for years, really, but it's finally true. The rumors were true, and I don't think anyone was surprised, but we are still happy for these performers. Candice LeRae, you may know her as Johnny Gargano's wife, and she was also in the Mae Young Classic last year. Ricochet, the high flyer from New Japan and PWG and Lucha Underground also, and War Machine of New Japan, ROH, and PWG fame are now, they've reported to NXT on Tuesday, and they have been confirmed as the new signings, and they had the big NXT indie guy roll out. How do you feel about these signings, Meelz?
I love it. It's a new, fresh, atmosphere. I think, it's just building upon the incredible roster that they already have in developmental. It's Ricochet, very notable, someone who I could have seen come into the WWE a couple of years ago. Candice LeRae, to me, is a no-brainer. Just someone who's smart in the ring, someone who has experience facing men, women, and I haven't seen much of War Machine, actually, so I'm not familiar with them. They're
great. Their look is kind of off-putting to me because they just kind of like, not even gonna lie, they look like the Aryan biker guys that don't like black people. Not gonna lie, I'm just saying, like, their look has always been really off-putting to me, but I think these are, to me, the last, like, other than Kenny Omega, I think these need to be, like, the last indie guys that come on. I think WWE has them all now. Like, there's no one left.
I think they're pretty solid. I think they should really continue to work with what they have. They've created a bunch of new stars over the last year just in-house. And, I think we could see a lot more of that. We see on NXT, the Street Profits are coming up. We see, not Oni Lorcan, but what's the big dude? Big bald dude.
Lars Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan coming into his own. I think we continue to hone in on these sort of in-house stars. I think we can do that now. Ricochet was really one of the last major, besides a few more. They could probably sign a few more, but I think we're getting to the point where,
they have too many women. They have way too many women. Like, unless they're giving the women like a tag title or like a TV title, the developmental system has too many freaking women. And I love Candice LeRae. They're going to shoot her to the moon. I think that's obvious from the way that she was even introduced. They did the same thing with Asuka. They did the same thing with Ember Moon. They're going to do the same thing with another person we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. But they're going to shoot Candice LeRae to the moon. But I don't want them to stunt the growth of the Abby Laths and the Bianca Belairs in the process.
I think you get a lot of that in this. Not everybody can be a star, unfortunately, and I feel like it's just it sets a little bit up for disappointment because everyone's going to want their guy to win, but not everybody can fall in that sort of category. I think everyone wanted it for Apollo Crews. Everyone wanted it for, a lot of these indie stars. They got it. Sami Zayn. I mean, Sami Zayn is probably still coming. But, not everybody can be a star. So when you have that large volume of, independent talent who people are just like, oh, my God, he's a world champion anywhere. He may not be world champion realistically, but he may be a great, intercontinental champion or a great cruiserweight champion. So all I would say is, we're setting ourselves up for something.
Yeah, I mean, Candice is going to be a star. I think War Machine kind of cancels out Heavy Machinery. So I think they're going to get moved to the side.
I'm tired of large guys with large beards. We've reached our quota with large guys with large beards. I get it. Come on. We don't have to do this anymore. Just shave the beard.
What I'm really interested in is Ricochet's ceiling. And I think I asked you this earlier this week. It's like, what is his ceiling realistically? And everyone kind of fits him into like mid-card U.S. title, IC title, and depending on how poppin' he is in NXT, he might skip 205 Live. I think it's possible that he will skip 205 Live. I don't think they see that in him. They would not have introduced him in this way if they did. I'll be clear. The only reason, remember, Tommy was introduced like this, but the only reason he's there is we all know why, is because he's injury prone. So if he stays out of that, then he'll be fine. I see NXT running him. I see him being
NXT definitely running him. I think, but I think in terms of looking towards the main roster, even just on the NXT roster itself, Ricochet's super athletic and he's super talented and he's in the ring. But I feel like there's so many of that. There's so many super athletic, super high flyers who can dazzle, and we have so many of that in WWE. What really makes him stand out compared to those people?
I think he's going to turn a corner. I think he has to turn a corner. He has to come up with a character, because I think that's the one thing he's been missing. He has to come up with a character without a mask, and I'm interested in seeing that in him, and also Leo Rush, who looks to be getting a rebranding in the NXT right now. So I really want to see what they rebrand these guys as. I don't think we'll see them actually in action until, I want to say, New Orleans. I think that's the perfect place to debut all of them.
Yeah, I would say so.
The next point is Goldberg. Congratulations to Goldberg. He is the first inductee, and I would imagine he's the main event for the Hall of Fame in New Orleans this year. Goldberg, as you guys know, retired last year after he lost at WrestleMania. We haven't seen him since April. I think we all guessed that he was going to be a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame, but it finally did happen this year. They announced it this week in Yahoo, I believe it was Yahoo Entertainment, and basically he's ready. He's primed to go. I can't think of a better person that fits the Hall of Fame mold or moniker than Goldberg. Multiple time WCW champion, Universal champion. He still gets a pop like no other. He might not have been the greatest in the ring, but I think his presence is unlike anybody that we've seen since maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember being a kid, and it used to be Goldberg or Steve Austin. And there are similarities aside, they couldn't be more different characters. I think Goldberg is still one of the most tremendous characters in wrestling history. So shout out to him. Congratulations to Goldberg. Hall of Famer. First ballot, whatever. He deserved it.
Easily. You took all the words out of my mouth, so I have nothing left to add. I think what you summed up was pretty accurate in terms of the career of Bill Goldberg, what he's given to the company and given just to the industry, and being one of the most popular wrestlers
of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah. He's not booked for Raw 25. He has been on Raw before, but I wish he was. But we'll get to Raw 25 in just 1 second. But we do have breaking news that literally just broke before we started recording the show. Ronda Rousey has signed with the WWE. This is alleged still. This is being reported by Pro Wrestling Stream, PW Stream. They have broken some stories in the past, so I won't completely say it's bullshit yet. But of course, WWE probably won't announce the signing until after Royal Rumble. But it finally happened. We've been guessing it, and finally, it's gonna happen. Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
Yeah, to me, it's a better outcome than putting her in the Royal Rumble. Potentially. I don't know how much training she's had for the Royal Rumble, but it's a great signing. I think everyone sort of expected it. If it is true, I think we definitely won't get any inkling of it from the WWE. I think it'll be a major surprise going into the WrestleMania season. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so the more, when we hear more about it, hopefully we might, if she shows up at Raw 25, it's going to tear the roof down. But hopefully we hear more about it next week. But for now, it's being reported that she has signed the contract for WWE. It's expected that she will debut at WrestleMania, but she may be at Royal Rumble. I really just think they should hold her off as long as possible. Make the fans wait. Let the women's the women's roster kind of fill out with the storylines going into WrestleMania. But I mean, if I had to guess, I think she's getting Asuka, not Charlotte.
I would go with Charlotte, but then again, it's like, are we doing Ronda Rousey on SmackDown?
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't think is much of a bigger draw. So, yeah, I mean, unless Charlotte somehow finds her way to Raw, and I could definitely see her going against Asuka.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Let's talk about our deep dive topic for the week, and that is our favorite Raw moments. Of course, Raw 25 will be on Monday. We will be reporting on the show, of course, and we're gonna have another like packed show next week. So get ready, Meelz. We're gonna have to cover Raw 25 and the Royal Rumble next week, or do our predictions. Do our predictions for the Royal Rumble. What is your favorite Raw moment? It's been 25 years. I'm 30 years old, so that it's been pretty much around since I was born.
Right.
And you're like, what, 27?
I'm 27, turning 28 in about a month or so.
Nobody cares. This isn't Tinder, motherfucker.
Listen, all right. Well, okay.
But what is your favorite Raw moment? I think Raw is just such a crazy show in general. I don't know if I can like pin it down to one fucking moment. I do think I have three.
I can easily not do that.
I think I have three though. And they're going to be really weird moments. So one of them
but
is.
I think, it's definitely moments that mean most to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be, we saw on Raw the truck with the beer truck coming out, which was the number one moment.
That's bullshit. That's not my number one moment.
Yeah, let's talk about moments that mean a lot to us.
What did you ever see the Raw where Razor Ramon was beat by a 1-2-3 Kid?
No, because
you weren't born.
I started watching wrestling. No, I was born. I started watching wrestling maybe actively like 1998, 1999.
I remember seeing Razor Ramon get beat. And he is like one of my favorite wrestlers as a child. When he got beat by a 1-2-3 Kid, that was the moment I was like hooked. I was like, this is it for me. It was something that where it was like Razor Ramon was such a, like, if I were to compare it to something, he would probably be to me the Roman Reigns getting beat by fucking, I don't even know, Heath Slater or some shit. Like, that's what that moment was back then. And I think Raw's, when it's good, it's capable of giving us moments like that. I think another really good moment, do you remember the debut of the Nexus on Raw?
Yes. I watched that over the weekend. Wild moment. I remember watching that live and just being like,
is this real?
God, what is going on?
Yeah, I thought it was a shoot. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this? Like, and these are the type of moments that are shocking that they do every so often. They do them they far less often than not now. But I what's another fucking episode? The episode where Austin gets put on the cross.
That was scary. I mean, and I didn't watch that live, but I literally watched that, had to be like 2 years ago. And even then, I found it kind of scary. I was just like, wow, this is kind of really demonic.
It's some demonistic shit.
And them trying to embalm Steve Austin, which I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is very, very wild. I think one of the first memories I have of Raw and just being something thrilling and it being something like captivating was the Black Wedding with Stephanie and Undertaker.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was just one of those. It was one of those moments. I think it was, back in 1999, a lot of family television, a lot of family oriented. You have Boy Meets World, Seventh Heaven, all these type of stuff. So it essentially became this family thing in the WWE. And Undertaker, kidnapped Stephanie McMahon.
Where to, Stephanie?
Sorry. Yes. Stone Cold, while he hates Vince McMahon, can't, stand to see this, in peril, save Stephanie McMahon. It was just a lot. It was a lot of emotions.
Storyline. What a great fucking storyline, too. When Austin saves her, she hugs him, but he doesn't, like, hug her back. He holds his hand out.
Right.
It was a great character moment where it was like, Austin is still, he did a good deed, but he was conflicted as to whether to embrace the daughter of his biggest enemy. I love that moment.
There's another one. All right, so it's a match and a moment. And it involves Undertaker again. Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy, ladder match.
Awesome.
WWE Championship of Raw, WWE Championship on Raw. Undertaker was undisputed champion. You know, he was on both brands defending thing. And I remember he had a triple threat match coming up with Kurt Angle and The Rock. And this match was kind of like, you know, it was on Raw. He could have lost the title, but it was really more Jeff Hardy trying to prove a point to The Undertaker. And just Jim Ross's commentary mixed in with it was a moment. It was the moment that possibly defined Jeff Hardy for the rest of his career.
You know what else? You know, was another really crazy match that kind of like did that to me in my eyes too. Edge versus Ric Flair, TLC.
Oh my God, I love that match.
That match was fucking incredible. And not just for Ric Flair doing some wild fucking shit on those tables and ladders.
Taking a superplex off a ladder.
Insane. But it set Edge up as someone who was literally the most despicable fucking guy in the company, in the world. And I mean, he's done a lot of crazy shit. Remember he smacked John Cena's dad?
Yeah. Oh, do I remember? Easily. It's a hard one too, and he bounces off the couch. I remember that picture perfectly. So many good moments. Let me see if I can think of any more. The mid 2000s, the late 2000s, a little bit shaky. It's kind of all blurry.
Oh no! All you need to know about those is the Scott Steiner Triple H pose off. That's all you need to know. That's one of the greatest moments from mid 2000s WWE Raw. That's great.
I love. I think it was. I love those type of promos that are just have these visceral reactions. And two promos I think off the top of my head is Shawn Michaels in Montreal.
Yeah.
And where he's going against Hulk Hogan, but he's playing heel for a month. He's put on the heel he's putting on the heel garb for about a month until he goes back to being a face. But he does that, and I can't think of The Rock in Toronto. The Rock returns to Toronto a year after WrestleMania 18, and the night after defeating Hulk Hogan at No Way Out, and it's just one of the best. I'm a Rock fan. I'm a Rock mark, so it's just something close to me.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Something in recent years, we've had so many. I mean, talk about the moment where Shawn Michaels versus John Cena, 60 minutes. Or at least almost a damn hour. It
was better than the Mania match, and I knew that Shawn probably wanted to make that a better match because he wasn't happy with how the match turned out. We got a DDT on the steps during that match, didn't we?
Yeah, there's so much in that match. I mean, I think I have to rewatch it because I haven't seen it in such a long time. But I remember I used to watch it pretty regularly just because I remember just watching Raw, and it came on around the 10 o'clock hour, and it's just like it was just like, oh, we have the main event, Edge versus Randy Orton, and we never got to that match, which was insane to me. I was like, are we still getting to this match? But it just went a full 60 minutes, or at least close to 60 minutes, and I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. This is like a moment that created John Cena as we know him moving forward.
And I mean, who can never forget when he got drafted to Raw? They went nuts that night.
Oh yeah, that was a good moment too.
It's too many. It's too many. Like it's 25 years of fucking of moments like that are crazy. Like how about Brian Pillman pulling a gun on Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the screen goes off. When I was a kid, I was like, first off, why did Steve Austin have to whip the black guy's ass like that? He beat the shit out of him. He threw him in the kiddie pool. That you know what? Remember we had that episode a couple of months ago where we talked about Austin being one of the fucking best booked motherfuckers ever. He was also one of the most racist ones too. I'm gonna come back to that.
All right,
he teed the fuck off on that black dude. He didn't have to do him like he was hitting him for real.
I can't pull back, son.
Gotta lay it in. Mother, like or how about Kai and Tai trying to chop off Val Venus's dick?
Listen, I remember remember watching that as well, and it just felt very South Parky. I was just like, wow, this is kind of like South Park.
Speaking, I mean, Katie Vick is South Parkish. That happened on Raw too. That's mid 2000s.
Katie Vick, Kane unmasking, and then the weeks following, kind of like that Summer of Kane.
Yeah.
It was just very uncomfortable, to be honest with you. It was just I was actually locked in, because the moment he tombstoned, Linda McMahon onto the stage, and then he lit Jim Ross on fire. I can't believe he had a full Summer of Kane. It was the Summer of Kane.
Didn't he shock Shane's balls that year too?
He shocked Shane's balls that year. It was a good year.
It was a good year for balls, bro. It was a good year for balls. I mean, this isn't even a talk about like the big moments, like Rock, This Is Your Life segment, which I'm surprised didn't get number one on the official.
I think it was because it was fan voted, and most fans don't remember it now, which is sad.
Highest rated segment in Raw history.
It still remains the highest rated segment in Raw history.
We can talk about Triple H revealing this storyline has not aged well. Triple H taking a drug Stephanie McMahon and marrying her. I mean, granted, you do find out later that Stephanie was in on it the whole time, and she was faking, which is like kind of flimsy when you look at it now, but it didn't age well. But I remember that moment being insane. I talked about that for probably 7 whole days after it happened.
Oh yeah, it was big. I mean, I remember watching it. I remember watching it on Raw. It's probably one of the, as we were talking about these 1999s, it was one of the first Raws I saw, and how just like story enveloped everything is. And we didn't see, I think after Stephanie turned on Vince, we didn't see Vince for months, and then he comes back before. I remember one of those moments where it was just, it's before WrestleMania 2000, and we're having the triple threat match for the WWE Championship, and everyone's out there, Stephanie, Vince, Shane, and then Linda McMahon comes out to a huge pop and said, I'm bringing back Mick Foley. And huge moment, just like, okay, Mick Foley's finally getting his WrestleMania moment. I remember, Lita versus Trish in the main event of Raw. I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
But I was just like, wow, they killed that shit. I remember it. What else can I think of? Edge and Matt Hardy. Just Matt Hardy just showing up on Raw.
Name dropping ROH like a goof.
Yeah. All right.
The bedpan, hitting Vince McMahon with the bedpan.
I still laugh at that moment.
I think the biggest black moment on Raw is Mike Tyson showing up, 1998. Actually, it's been 10 years, or it's been 20 years since that. Tomorrow, or 2 days. It was January 19th, I think.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
wow.
It's been 20 years since he showed up, and Steve Austin put up the middle fingers, and Mike Tyson's like, "Oh, you gonna flick me off?" Like he does this thing with his hands, and he pushes. One of the biggest moments to me, like even my mom was excited for that shit, like that, and she doesn't even fuck with wrestling.
Oh my God! I remember. I used to watch wrestling at my neighbor's house, and just everyone would get into it. I don't know, SmackDown and Raw. It was just insane. I'm trying to think of what's a recent moment.
The Shield breakup. The Shield breakup. I think that's the biggest moment. I think that might be maybe second or third, if you want to keep it 100, like second or third of the top moments of the 2010s to me.
Yeah, Shield breaking up. Fuck.
Brock Lesnar coming back on the night after Mania in 2012. That was
huge.
He got a Stone Cold pop that night, and we knew he was coming that night, and we still popped. Huge. We still popped like a bunch of fucking idiots, bro.
Because they set it up. Because they set it up perfectly. It was just very calm before the storm.
Yeah.
John Cena cutting this promo. He just lost to The Rock. He's cutting this promo, and it's this calm before the storm, and like everyone knows it's coming, and it's like there it is, and then boom, it shows up.
Damn! There's so many moments from Raw. These are just a couple. Oh, actually, no. Festival of Friendship. I'll say that's in the top 5.
Festival of Friendship was really, really good. Really done well. What else can I say? There's a lot of good moments.
We've named off like 30, but I remain really excited for Raw 25 next week. I have no clue what the show is going to be like. As the go home show then we'll just get right into Raw from this week. right now. But as it go home for the Raw 25, it left you with no idea as to what is going to actually happen next week, other than the matches announced, which is Roman Reigns and The Miz for the Intercontinental title. But other than that, we have no clue. But it's going to be a big night. Trish Stratus is going to be there. Chris Jericho is going to be there, and a lot of other people are going to be there. Yeah, he's doing it up. He's the best wrestler.
He's an indie cat who just knows how to get his business done, and no contracts, no rules, nothing. Chris Jericho goes wherever he wants to go,
except TNA. But let's get into Raw, which I thought was Raw was a great show. Really not great, but it was a really good show. That was kind of bookended and started with Braun Strowman going on a fucking rampage for the first hour of the show.
I loved it.
Kurt Angle came out, and of course last week he had the grappling hook thing. And I'm glad he had some repercussions for that. But Kurt Angle comes out, he fires Braun Strowman, and Braun is basically like, I'm not going anywhere until everybody catches these hands. He runs through every single fucking room of the backstage area.
Fire Meelz! Everybody in here! I'm not finished yet. I'm not leaving till everybody gets these hands.
Beats the fuck out of security, beats the shit out of producers, chokeslams Kurt Hawkins to a table for no reason, and tries to fuck up the production truck, tries to lift the production. Like, he topped himself from last week. And it's like they find these ways for Braun to top himself every week to a point where it's almost cartoonish, but it works because Braun is a cartoon.
They're giving him all the toys to make it work. It's similar. We talk about the beer truck with Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Zamboni and all this stuff. They're giving him all the tools to work, and it makes me think they're setting him up for a very big match at WrestleMania. I mean, they at least have to.
There's no
Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. There's no secondary title match. He has to be in a huge match. Braun Strowman is a larger-than-life star. You talk about Vince McMahon loving larger-than-life athletes all the time. He is the one. He is WWE's unicorn. When you talk about Giannis and NBA and Kristaps Porzingis, he is that to the WWE. He is incredible from top to bottom. He can do anything. He comes off anything sort of strong. He makes every segment feel important now. He's just killing it. He's the superstar of the year thus far in the first 18 days of Raw.
The first 2 weeks of Raw. Let's chill out here, guy. I agree, though. I agree that he is the one bit And we've seen so many big men like him come and go, like Khali and Kozlov and shit like that. Like, we've seen this before, but not to this level. I will say this right now. Let's just get it out of the way. Now, he did get rehired by Stephanie McMahon, which to me is another kernel for storyline. I think they're breadcrumbing us with the storyline as far as Braun goes. He did get reinstated at the end of the show. In the three-way match between he, Brock Lesnar, and Kane is still on. I do not, and I still remain adamant about this. He does not need a belt. He does not need the Universal title. Maybe he can get one run, but I feel as though Braun Strowman getting a belt it exposes him. He's going to be forced to be. He's going to be forced to lose. He's going to have to lose.
Be the fighting champion as opposed to just the destructive monster that he is.
Yeah. And I think it suits him better to be the monster and not the champion. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I mean, I don't think he's going to win in a week anyway, but I think that he works better as a guy that destroys things and he's a force of nature. I don't think everyone needs a title. Maybe if you want to give him a title, give him the Intercontinental title. That will work for him. I think he'd be a great Intercontinental champion.
I don't know about that. I think he's bigger than that. I think he's bigger, he's better, he's going to destroy everything. I think it's a matter of time until he gets a championship, and he's just going to become an unstoppable force. I mean, he puts up a fight against a couple people. It's not like he hasn't lost before.
He's lost three times.
He's lost pretty. I wouldn't say pretty frequently, but he's lost enough. Like he's lost to Sami Zayn last year. Like he lost to Roman Reigns. He's lost.
You mean pinfall? You mean pinfall or that was like a shitty countout victory?
Yeah, that was a shitty. I mean, win is win, loss is loss. We all thought Sami Zayn was definitely going to lose, but he's one of those guys. I mean, if they decide to go with him, they go with him. If they don't, they don't. Like, he's just larger than life. I love everything Braun Strowman has done.
I wouldn't be mad either way. I wouldn't be mad either way. If he had it or didn't, I wouldn't be mad. I don't want to see him. I want to see him chase. I don't really necessarily need to see him defend it all the time, because then it's like you're falling to the same problem you have with Brock right now, where it's like, when's it going to end? When he runs through everybody. The next thing I want to talk about was Titus Worldwide. They've been on a roll lately, man. How do you feel about them?
Titus Worldwide. It's fun. I think it's fun. I think this is more of what I'm talking about, you know, everybody getting their day in WWE, and if you stay long enough, eventually you get yours. And Titus Worldwide is someone who've been, you know, they've been humor, but largely ineffective since their inception, besides Akira Tozawa winning the Cruiserweight Championship, which I thought was great. I thought they could have capitalized on that more. I think if they knew what was coming with Neville, they probably would have done so. But I think, you know, it's fun. It's fun. I think it adds to the unpredictability of Raw, and it adds a little bit of realistic factor, because on any night, no matter if they're challenging the champions or not, on any night you can get beat. The way they did it this week with Jason Jordan providing the distraction, I thought was great. And it, you know, it starts building a new contender if there's one that needs to be had. And
they're going to phase out the bar. I think this is what it's softly doing right now. It's phasing them out and softening the blow for when they lose, I guess, on Sunday. I don't see them getting the belts back. They don't need the belts back. I think there's a bigger storyline at play here. But I'm cool with it. I'm really happy for Apollo Crews. He's the one that gets to shine in these matches more than anything.
Yeah, shout out to them doing it on the MLK Day.
Yeah, shout out. And a great MLK package, a great MLK video package on that night,
too. My God. Two great I was like, oh my God, Vince McMahon loves himself some fucking Martin Luther King, man.
He said on Twitter, my hero, and I thought he was going to say, like, my nigga. Like he said on... my nigga.
He loves himself some Martin Luther King. I'm like, you know what, go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
I'm all with it. There was a surprising lack of Roman Reigns on Raw this week. He had a handicap match against Axel and Dallas that was not to the level of the matches he's been having.
I thought it was fun.
It was a surprising night off for him. He was barely on the show.
Yeah,
didn't really have much.
It was fun in terms of just being like a handicap match that was like, I mean, we've seen handicap matches lately, and we even see one at the Royal Rumble where it's been kind of like, albeit competitive, just more so one-sided. This was kind of fun. But in the end, he does what Roman Reigns does, which is punch, spear, and it's over.
Yep. It was a light match. I'm wondering where they're going with Roman. I think I do predict that he will lose the title next week. And we'll be able to see where Miz goes from there. I'm not sure who Miz would go at next after that, but who knows? It's Mania season. It could be anybody. The next point, you saw the Seth Rollins and Finn Balor match. I thought it was a great match. I think that the finish of the match left you wanting more, and I think it's going to continue in some capacity soon. If anyone didn't see it, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor had a rematch. This has been like a year, almost 2 years in the making of their Universal title match without the belt this time, from SummerSlam 2016, correct?
Yeah.
And it was a pretty good match. I think these two, as opponents, work really well because their movesets are so similar. So they actually bounce off of each other so well. The finish saw Jason Jordan. A whole bunch of shit happened. It wasn't a clean win, in the least bit. Seth Rollins, of course, won, but Jason Jordan tripped up Finn Balor after the basically interference of the bar from earlier in the night, and then he tripped up Finn Balor, which led Seth Rollins to bring back the blackout curb stomp kick to defeat Finn Balor in a really surprise. I think that was the biggest and most talked about thing next to Braun Strowman on Raw, was that he brought that move back. But I liked this match a lot. I gave it like 3.5 stars. I really liked it.
I really love that match. was a good main event for Raw. Raw was really well paced. I would say that it was really well paced throughout the night. It was just a great match overall. Really back and forth. Man, that curb stomp. I remember I saw the trip. I saw Finn Balor down, and then I saw sort of, Seth Rollins size him up. And in my mind, just for a brief second, I was like, is he going to do it? Is he actually going to do it? And then when he did it, I probably lost my mind internally. But it was amazing, man. It was amazing. And believe it or not, I got to go to the analytics on this one, because Raw, when you talk about what Raw did on YouTube this week, I mean, you got a lot of, I think Braun Strowman brings them a lot of views. Braun Strowman, has, millions of views. The most viewed thing was Seth Rollins returning with that curb stomp. And they said Seth Rollins resurrects a familiar finishing move against Finn Balor. Nearly 2 million views since it happened on Monday.
What do you think because if you remember correctly, they stopped him from doing the curb stomp shortly after he won the belt. The actual the WWE title 2 or 3 years ago. And now he's bringing it back. What do you think the reasoning is for him bringing the curb stomp back?
They were like, initially when they banned it, they was like, oh, they don't want kids doing it. And I guess somewhere along the lines, they were like, fuck them kids. And they sort of brought it back. I think it's necessary. I think it works. It's just, I feel like nothing else sort of, I think Vince probably hated that ripcord knee. Because I hate it. I hate that move.
He didn't do it right.
He hated it.
He didn't do it good. He didn't do it well enough. Like, don't do a move from someone else if you don't do it well.
Yeah, I feel like he hated it. I feel like it was something that it was like, I hate it. Like, God damn it. And it's just like, it was like, well, I can't use the pedigree anymore because I'm not aligned with Triple H anymore. So what can I use? Can I just use the curb stomp? He's like, all right, fine.
You feel like he finessed his way in? Like he was just like, I can't use this, so I gotta do it. Come on.
He's been asking for probably 2 years, and he's just like, fine. God, use a damn curb stomp.
Shout out to Bruce Pritchard. You have a Vince McMahon impersonation that is almost on par with his. I need a goddamn pal. I need a goddamn pal for the
goddamn pal. My imitation is literally me imitating Bruce, imitating Vince McMahon. So that's essentially what it is, and that's probably because when you listen to 4-hour podcasts on a weekly basis,
you pick it up
of him doing that. You pick it up easily.
One note I do want to talk about with Finn Balor. They did have an interesting moment at the end of Raw where it showed him getting picked up by the club, and he looks like dazed, and he's kind of looking at the crowd like. I'm not sure if it was selling. I'm not sure if they were, and I know that they were doing this for a reason. This is clearly foreshadowing something. I've been calling for it for a while, but I think we might see a turn. I really don't want him to turn because there aren't a lot of faces on Raw right now, but I think Finn kind of needs the turn because I don't think Seth is going to turn. I don't, and a lot of people thought this Seth. A lot of people thought that Seth was turning because of the finish on Monday, but I was like, I don't think Seth knew that Jason had did that.
No.
I think he was just reacting.
I think with Finn Balor, we see him as a face, and he gets sort of pigeonholed into these, these unique feuds or just these very, these matches that don't really serve a purpose longer. I think with turning a heel, he maybe finds a purpose or finds a role on Raw.
Yeah.
Like an actual solid, consistent role on Raw, as opposed to just being that guy who's just, out and about and around and just having these great matches and having these one-off feuds from month to month, and maybe 1 month he has a feud, maybe 1 month he doesn't. I think it establishes him as a fixture on Raw. But even if he doesn't turn, I think, it's like what you said earlier, and we talked about this, with the amount of injuries on Raw, his stock sort of goes up a bit.
With Joe gone, and potentially...
With Ambrose gone,
they need someone right now, so I get it. I think It's the same way that Punk and Hardy kind of came up too, where it's like these people went down and it made room for these guys to get bigger spots. So we'll see what they do with Finn. I really do not want to talk about this episode of SmackDown. I've been trying to hold off on this for as long as possible. I think this is the worst episode of SmackDown in about a year.
I think, we don't have to go through too much.
I know. There was nothing on this episode of SmackDown. There was nothing on it. There were 4 matches, I think, or 6 matches. I want to say 5 or 6 matches.
Probably I want to say maybe 4 or 5.
Like 5 matches. There was, and basically, and we're going to talk about this too. The U.S. title tournament is over, and I know last week we said it was going to end at the Royal Rumble. And then WWE kind of secretly said it was going to end next week on SmackDown on Monday. Then on last night's episode of SmackDown, they ended the tournament that night.
I want to say
it makes no sense. To me, it reeks of last minute writing, by the way.
Let me just 100%. To me, this wasn't a bad episode of SmackDown. It just had nothing going for it. I don't think it was terrible. I don't think none of the decisions were like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't think that. I just think it was really just a ineffective sort of show that didn't have much going for it. I think I don't know what they had planned for it, but they had no sort of major matches. I think it was focused on the U.S. title tournament. And maybe they'll go.
You had no Sami Zayn. You had no Kevin Owens. You had no Shinsuke Nakamura. You had no AJ Styles. You had no Baron Corbin. You had no Randy Orton. You had no Fashion Files or Fashion Police. You had no Rusev and Aiden English. You had no Usos.
Yeah.
You had none of the women.
There was no Usos.
Oh my God. They were on the show, but
they were on the show.
This was a show that was highlighted by 2 Jinder Mahal matches that both equaled a time of over 30 minutes in total. One of the matches against Xavier Woods opened the show, in which
I would have liked that as the closing. Like, I don't know. I just felt like that was a match that could have, if Xavier Woods was on the other side of the bracket and went the distance, it could have been something cool. But I don't know. It was the first match.
Instead, we got Jinder on offense for 90% of it with a chin lock, the boot, the knee, and the Colossus, and the cheating move. And that's it. That's the only thing he has.
And then, that led to pretty uninspiring also Bobby Roode and what's his face?
Mojo Rawley, who's losing 3 weeks into his heel turn. Great.
I mean, you got to lose, baby. Come on. He expected to win? What?
I don't expect him to win. I don't expect him to. I didn't expect them to pin him.
Expected to beat anybody not named Zach.
Come on, Meelz. Don't be obtuse. There are ways for him to lose without him actually getting pinned.
That's true, but he's a B+ player, baby. Come on, he's Mojo Rawley.
I like him as a heel. I'm enjoying his heel turn.
I enjoy Mojo Rawley being the most human person on a wrestling show. That's what I enjoy.
And they stole his gimmick on this show too.
Who stole it?
Everyone stole the gimmick. The camera, the cell phone promos.
Oh, yeah. God,
they stole his gimmick.
All of it was terrible. I don't know if people thought I was just targeting the women, but the men's were terrible as well. Like, it was just... I don't want to see that on a wrestling show. Give me actual production. Give me a promo. Give me 8 guys in a ring all declaring they're going to win the Royal Rumble.
Let's unpack this. Let's unpack this a little bit. Instead of putting all of the women on the show, or giving them the insert, the in-window promos that they do when you're coming out to the ring, they'll give you the insert promos. They had all of the women do cut promos in front of a fucking phone, but before you figure out who they are, they put their name in like Times New Roman before they show up. So it says Naomi.
I'm gonna glow up and win this roar,
no,
shit like that.
How about the lines they gave to Ruby Riott, who I feel as though I would have quit if I got this on the piece of paper that day. Riot's my name, the Rumble is my game.
Riot is my name and the Rumble is my game. Creating chaos is in my DNA. You may not like me, but you can't stop me. WrestleMania, here I come.
R.I.P. her career, bro. I have no clue what the fuck they're doing with these women that just got called up. Sarah Logan's promo. Sarah Logan looked like she got slapped in the face with some flour, for one.
As a raccoon, very raccoon-esque.
Awful.
I don't know. You know what? There hasn't been a solid storyline for the women for months, considering just last month we went back to Natty and Charlotte, and then this month we're just getting the Royal Rumble without a championship match. So I think they're all focusing on that, but I'd like to see what they move in post, post the Royal Rumble and see what can we get something going on. I mean, it just feels like the same women on the show every week, and it kind of is.
I mean, you got a 6-woman tag between the Riot Squad and Naomi, Charlotte, and Becky. But I mean, it didn't inspire like these fucking. Those weren't even the only selfie promos. I think the only one that I actually did like was Shinsuke's, because it was like 2 seconds long.
Yeah,
Shinsuke.
I don't know. I didn't agree with it. I was just like, these kind of stink.
Awful, just awful. And after Mojo Rawley and also, did you notice that they haven't been showing the Fashion Files on air anymore? They show a clip.
Yeah, I've realized that, but I really don't watch it if it's not on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go out my way to watch Fashion Files. Like, come on, you gotta show it on TV. This is what made them stars. You're literally cutting their legs off. You're literally saying, "Hey, we had this very popular tag team on SmackDown a year ago, and now we don't have time for them. So watch this online." Oh, I gotta find them online to get my jokes in. It's not the same. It's not the same as being in front of a live audience and watching this thing.
R.I.P. to them. I think it's over. I think I think that's also no Bludgeon Brothers on the show either. No Ascension. And then we get to let's get to why the tournament ended storyline wise. The Singh brothers came out and attacked Bobby Roode after his match with Mojo Rawley. Of course, he does the wrestling thing of, let's do the match tonight in Laredo, Texas. Jinder says no. Jinder says no. Daniel Bryan comes out. Also, no progression in the Daniel Bryan Shane McMahon angle this week also. Whatsoever.
This is an off week for everybody, man. Listen, everyone had the week off.
So we get
storylines this week.
We get another dull match between Jinder Mahal and Bobby Roode, which I don't think is going to be the last of, but I do think Dolph Ziggler will be inserted into it within the next 2 to 3 weeks, in which Bobby Roode is the new United States champion after he beat Jinder Mahal in, I think, 10 minutes. Not a spectacular main event, but I thought it was better than every other match on the show. I think Bobby did a pretty good job.
I like the counter. It was a pretty the counter to end the match. I thought it was pretty creative. The Colossus into the glorious DDT.
I felt nothing. I don't think the crowd did either for Bobby winning the U.S. title.
Anything either. I think
if you were gonna do this month, why the fuck did you do that last month at Clash of Champions?
I don't know.
If you were going to get to this,
still champion.
You could have just had Bobby win the match.
I think this makes it more exciting. And it gets it off of Baron Corbin without totally ruining Baron Corbin. I don't know, but it kind of did. Who knows? Whatever. It's like, it is what it is now. I'm not completely mad at it because I didn't like Baron Corbin as champion. Bobby Roode, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it because I really don't care for Bobby Roode. But, I have my fantasy booking of, Shawn Michaels. Dolph Ziggler. Sorry. Dolph Ziggler returning from losing his smile and saying, you know what, I am the actual United States champion. No one has beaten me. I am the legitimate United States champion.
But that puts that gives us more Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler matches.
And then they settle this in a monumental ladder match at WrestleMania, a la HBK Razor.
So what is? Well, and listen, poor Jinder Mahal.
I don't think this is going to happen. By the way,
poor. I that's why I just skipped right over it. I call that hashtag Meelz booking. If you think Roode is getting a ladder match,
legendary ladder match, WrestleMania.
Poor Jinder Mahal. They are done with that motherfucker. They're burying him under the fucking building in Connecticut.
Listen, I have no problem with that.
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. But poor him.
They're setting him up for the Rumble.
No, Meelz.
Gotta get him ready, pal. Come on.
Meelz, come on.
He's gonna be in the Rumble.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the Rumble. He's gonna get thrown out by like Braun Strowman or somebody. Like
Easily.
He is not winning the Rumble.
The casualty of the Strowman.
I think we're so shell shocked from last June that we really think that Jinder could win anything, and I think WWE's pointing everything in the direction that this motherfucker is done, and we're cooling off on him, and we want you to know that.
What if the Jinder moment happened at the Royal Rumble? What if it didn't have a backlash last year? What if the Jinder moment was happening right now? Like,
and he didn't win the title from Randy last year?
Yeah, if he didn't win the title from Randy, but they're just like, everything was delayed up to like 7 months, and they was like, you know what, we're going to push Jinder Mahal. He's going to win the Royal Rumble, and he's going to defeat Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
That would mean that Randy Orton would hold that title for a year, and I don't think anybody wanted that.
Oh, yeah, I sure as hell do.
Yeah, that would mean that he'd have to beat maybe AJ Styles, and I think that would cause people to cancel their subscriptions in masse.
A little bit.
Yeah, but I think as a whole, like, I was willing to be optimistic about SmackDown for a couple of weeks after AJ won the title, but this show has given me no reason to care about anyone on it. I don't think it's going to get any better next week. They have nothing announced so far, but it's coming after Raw 25, and that's going to be a hard show to beat to me next week. That's the show.
It's a go-home show to the Royal Rumble with matches. Yeah. 2 SmackDown matches. 2. And a bunch of stuff we don't want to see.
Exactly. But that was SmackDown, which I mean, if you had to watch anything, I guess don't watch any of it. Did you watch the Mixed Match Challenge last night?
Of course. We talking about it. Opened my laptop. I logged on Facebook for the first time in like a billion months. And I went live and watched this Mixed Match Challenge.
With all these fucking emojis filling the screen. I'm going to have a seizure watching that shit.
That's what wrestling is in 2018, my friend. Emojis filling up a screen. This is the future.
The first match in this tightly produced show, it went around 17, 18 minutes in a whole. It saw Finn Balor and Sasha Banks facing Shinsuke Nakamura and Natalya. In a match that went about 12 minutes and saw Finn Balor and Sasha's team win. I really like the match. I think it's really cool to see these mix-ups and these matchups that you don't normally see or you wouldn't usually see. And I thought that even though we weren't getting any intergender stuff, we got a lot of cool back and forth between like Shinsuke and Sasha.
Interaction between the women and the men. It's life. It's something that happens. I thought it was really, really fun.
Yeah, I think that's the key to this show is how these reactions or how these interactions will work between the teams. And I thought it came off really well here, and I'm really interested to see where it goes in the coming weeks.
I think it was a good match. It was a great, I've been a fan of this. I thought it was fun. I thought it still is fun. I don't know if every week I'm going to be racing to Facebook to watch it. I mean, but I don't know. I may. Who knows?
For the first week, they made a pretty compelling match that everyone wants to see because obviously you want to see Finn and Shinsuke go at it. But I don't know if next week I'll be watching that match.
Yeah, next week, Nia and Apollo versus, I don't even remember.
It's Asuka and Miz next week. Asuka and Miz.
Yes. All right, yeah, I'm locked in. All right.
Yeah, it's Asuka and Miz. I don't know if I'll watch. I mean,
you do think, it for the Rescue Dogs, my friend. That's what the Miz and Asuka are fighting for, Rescue Dogs.
Their charity is fucked. Because if you didn't pick Connor's Cure, or fucking Susan G. Komen, you're fucked.
You're fucked. Or you didn't, this is what we've had. People are gambling on, charities to see who's going to win this thing. One thing I do. It's kind of like the underlying theme of it all. It's like literally there are charities battling out for $100,000. No one realizes that. Like all these charities need fucking money. Like why are we fighting for just one?
Yeah.
Are we bringing awareness to one? Is there somewhere at least WWE can be like, listen, they lost. Here's a free number where you can text $5 to the Rescue Dogs or for the boys and girls,
or Yele Haiti too.
Yele Haiti or something. Come on, it's like something. Like give them something. Jesus Christ, they're going home as losers. I do not want the Rescue Dogs to lose next week.
There is a chance. There is a chance that if Asuka and Miz do lose, highly unlikely, that they will be voted back in. And I want to say it's 12 weeks. I think week 8, one of the teams can get voted back in by the fans. One thing I did want to note this show hit around, I want to say 130,000 views on the first week. I'm not sure what view count they're looking for. Like, I don't know if 100,000 is a stellar number for Facebook.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I think there's a lot of not excuses, but there's a lot of points you can make as to why it did that much, namely it being on Facebook. But for the first week, that can't be super like exciting or super promising. But I do think that as the show goes on, I would hope that as the matchups get more exciting in the second and third rounds, that it will garner more viewers. But 130 is kind of on the low end of maybe what they were expecting for a heavily, like, this show has been promoted for the last like 4 weeks on WWE programming. So
shout out to the unfortunate people who now have an extra half an hour to sit through and then have to sit through 205 Live as well.
Yeah, which got like a 20-minute version, a bridge version of 205 this week, where Goldberg...
Oh, really? It's only 20?
Yeah, it was only 20 minutes, where Goldust beat some cruiserweights, and he's not even 205 pounds. So that gives you the state of 205 Live right now.
Listen, Goldust loves, just to hang out with his pals. I don't know.
Yeah. And actually, that's it for everything this week, I believe. So, do you have a match of the week, Meelz?
Match of the week. I want to go back to a Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Actually, no. Fuck that.
We'll do that next week. We'll do that next
25.
week. Yeah, we'll do that next week.
We'll do Royal Rumble next week. Raw, I want to say, gosh, go back to the Undertaker and Jeff Hardy match. It is magical. It is everything. I'm going to watch it after. I may not. Who knows? Sometimes I say that, and then I don't. And then, like last week, I said I was going to go watch NXT. I haven't seen last week's NXT. But I'm going to watch it sometime when I get the free time. But, gosh, go back to the Jeff Hardy and Undertaker match. It's so magical. I'm surprised they left it out of the top 100 moments unless I missed it somehow. But
it might have been in there. I don't know.
But it's a really, really, really good story, good match, thrilling, all the cool stuff. What about you?
CM Punk, John Cena on Raw.
The 2014?
Yep, one of the best matches of all time.
One of the winning number one contender, and the winner goes to WrestleMania to face The Rock?
Yep.
That was a good match.
It's a great match. And if you don't want to watch that, watch more on a more problematic note. Go watch Chris Benoit versus Randy Orton the night after SummerSlam 2004.
Watch that at your own discretion.
Yeah, watch it at your own discretion. But I mean, Chris Benoit loses, so I mean, that should tell you, that should make you feel good. But yeah, that's been the A show for this week. As you already know, we will be back next week with all of the rundown on Raw 25. And we'll also have a Royal Rumble prediction show. It's going to be a pretty stacked show next week, so strap in. I'm ready for Rumble. It's my favorite time of the year. I think Meelz can concur with me on that as well. Super excited about it. So until next week, guys, thanks for listening to the A Show with us, and stay tuned to RNC Radio. We have more shows coming for you guys. Make sure you check out those RNC playlists on Apple Music and Spotify, and follow us on Twitter at OGJohnny5 and at Meelz TV. That is MEELZ TV. Until next time, thank you, Meelz, for being on the show with me this week.
It's a great night. I don't know. I'm so dumbfounded. I'm sorry. I've been watching, this Jeff Hardy thing on mute.
Oh my God! Get the hell out of here. Until next time.
Happy Rusev Day, everybody.
All right, peace.